Welcome to my channel. Thank you for tuning in to another video. So today, hopefully I've got something interesting for everyone out there. What I've been wanting to do for a while now, I've been wanting to directly compare the homages I've got from China against the Seikos I've got. Now, in order for me to do that accurately and fairly, I need two watches that are similar in specification, or they are actually similar in relation to what the homage is being aimed at. What I mean by that is, obviously, if I were to get a, I don't know, I can't compare the Proxima, for example. I'll just take it out to, your bog standard Seiko quartz or your Seiko 5. So I've been trying to get something similar or in the same sort of category to compare it to. Now for me, this watch here, Proxima homage, the looks of it, like the specification, I wouldn't call it an entry level watch. I could be wrong, but that's my personal opinion. So obviously I've got to find something similar to it. And it just so happened my latest acquisition, which is sitting on the left, I just got this today. And I instantly, when I looked at it, the idea popped back into my head, and I think I can do a comparison between the two. Obviously, we know this is a homage to the Marine Master, but let's be realistic. This is in no way, shape or form anywhere close to the actual Marine Master, obviously, which is in the second-hand market anywhere from £1,500 to £2,000. Obviously, it's got a much higher rated movement, but I think we should be able to compare it with this. So those of you that don't know, I'll give you a quick bit of information about this. This is the Seiko Sumo SBDC033, I believe. You do have a 003, which looks exactly the same, except this has got that Prospex X on the dial. And the nickname for this is the Lume. I'm not going to go into the measurements. I might do a measurement comparison later on, because if you look at these, you can see why I think this will make a good comparison. They look quite similar. The K-shape is similar as well. If you look side profile, sorry, let me show you the right one here. Side profile. Obviously there's differences. It's not a like for like comparison at all. But without going too far away from the point, I just want to compare the quality, and what does an OEM brand like Seiko provide, and then what do you get from the China brands, right? So without further ado, obviously you know the specifications for this. If you don't, it's an NH35 automatic, double dome sapphire glass, sapphire bezel, monocog case, and all stainless steel. Now this is it's not an entry level movement, it's a mid-level from Seiko. Now I believe brand new these are between, I think, 500 to 600-700 maybe. Second-hand market, you're looking about 300, 350, depending on the color option or special edition, whatever. They can go up to about 400 second-hand. This is obviously second-hand, so let's just talk second-hand prices. So the Sumo comes in with a 6R15 movement, which is, I would say, a touch better than the actual NH35 or 4R35 movement. The only difference, or the only substantial difference, is the actual power reserve, which works out to be 50 hours, whereas your 4R35, 36 is rated to about 40 to 41 hours. So the main point of this video is to do a direct comparison, specification, and the actual build quality, to see how good the Chinese watches actually are. So let's just start with the actual dial. Now, as you can see, both dials are pretty much similar. There's nothing better on the one than the other. They've both got these circular applied indices, very similar in fact. Obviously the indices at the 12, 6, 9 are different. If you pay attention to the date window, it is more or less the same. Obviously, not the minute differences where you've got a slightly curved border around the date window. Here is straight. Personally, what I think is better is when you have the beveled date window. I do prefer that. I think it adds a nice little touch to the dial. So nothing too different. Obviously, you've got the Marine Master hands on here, and the Sumo's got wider hands. So nothing too different. Again, on the dial quality, this is just as good. The only reason this probably looks better because of the AR coating. And moving on to the bezel, this is sapphire. So already the Proxima is coming out trumps basically from the specification so far. The Seiko does come with hard legs. Now, a lot of people moan, including myself, about why doesn't Seiko, for the money, put in sapphire, blah blah blah. But this is a professional specification watch, hence the name Prospex, and is an ISO rated diver. Therefore, it is more practical to have a hardlex crystal while you're diving, because hardlex doesn't shatter, it cracks on impact, whereas sapphire, even though it is harder than hardlex, it will literally shatter. So obviously if your watch does shatter underground, then underground, I mean underwater, sorry, then obviously you're not gonna have a watch left. So there's that. I mean, obviously I would, like to spec this up, because how many of us do actually dive? Not many. So there you go. It would be nice to have that sort of specification. So if you just take a closer look at chapter ring, just normal, nothing different. Obviously slightly different design, but in terms of quality, I don't see anything better. And one of the things that, just give this a little charge. Now, one of the things which people do moan about is the Seiko bezel. Now, if you go into the Sumo, you got to remember this is a mid-range diver, so it's not your entry-level stuff. Now, side note, I do love the way the bezel sits on this. It reminds me slightly of the Caesar, but obviously the Caesar's massive. It's not that big. It looks like a big watch, but it is. They have streamlined it pretty well with just the case shape. So I love how the bezel sits in this. That's just a side point, but in terms of the actual bezel quality, and I've got this issue with Seiko as well. You've got a bit of play. Now you're spending, like I mentioned, around the £400 mark second hand. So you can imagine you'd want a tighter bezel. Now I don't know, Seiko's, they have this bezel problem, across most of their range, where no two bezels function the same, and that's per people like myself and the people watching. These are just toys for big boys, really. So we like to turn the bezel now and then, and everyone does appreciate a nice sounding bezel. Now compare that to the Proxima, much tighter. To me, it's a nicer sound as well. And if you have a look, there's literally no back play. So I don't know how they've managed to do that. I've seen a video where someone's popped this bezel off and there's like a retaining wire underneath. Maybe that's the trick, but ultimately I don't know. So slightly coin edge on the bezel, I like that as well. On the crowns, obviously it's got that signed S crown, big knurling on the side. This has got smaller splines, nothing on the crown. I did mention in the follow-up that slight pros and cons. It would be nice to have a signed crown on here. because just it is trying to be that mid-range / premium watch. Now, case, like I pointed out, it is very similar. Even if you look at the bezels, they are quite similar. Both watches are drilled lugs. Again, you find this only on the pricier watches. Now, I wanna, if you wanna look at the crown in terms of threading, pushing in and out, there's no difference between that and the Proxima. They're both, just do the job. There's no problems with either, the way they unscrew or anything like that. And that's just a testament to the high quality of Proxima. So let's have a look at the case. The cases, the shapes are very similar. You can see where you've got this high shine along there, brushing along the side. There's high shine, so there's almost three levels to how the case has been designed or machined. Right, beautiful curve there, and then you've got a 20mm bracelet that sits solid end lugs, obviously, and you find something very similar, and it's got that same high quality. Sorry, let me try and zoom in here. High quality machining. So if you look at that, I mean, that is really, really well done. Even in the drill lug, there's no flash, there's no burr, and if you do know anything about manufacturing, or you come from a manufacturing background, you find, the best products have little things like that. And again, the Sumo, I do like the lower profile of the Sumo because it does condense that large size. I mean, they call it a Sumo, but it's not that big. And again, it's just very, very impressed with the actual level of quality. And not everybody is into Seikos, or you might not know about Seiko, so this is a great benchmark to obviously measure these kind of watches against. Absolutely. So the case finish is very similar again. Now let's move on to the bracelets. Now I think this is where we might find a slight difference. So I don't know if you can see in the camera, can you see these brush strokes? They are quite fine, but they are visible. Now it's slightly finer on the Seiko, and that may be due to, it's a well-known fact, they do have a different level of polish. I don't know if they've applied it with the Sumo, I could just be making it up, maybe a placebo effect, but visually off camera, I can see a visible difference between the brushing. So this is slightly smoother. Another point I noticed on the Sumo, where you've got this almost look like collars on the watch, got a high polish there, but where it straightens out along here, there is a slight bit of edginess on here, whereas on the Proxima you've got something similar but not as pronounced as that, but it's considerably smoother, no sharpness, so extremely high level of workmanship. Obviously this being a monocog, one solid piece, and it opens from the top. This has got the case back. And people, regarding the Sumo, people do complain about the pretty bog standard clasp. You find this clasp on entry-level Seiko 5, Seiko Sports, nothing special at all. But this being a mid-range, it would have been nice to have that milled clasp, or the butterfly scissor clasp, whatever you want to call it. This is just a bog standard one. Comes with obviously the dials extension. I've heard some complaints about the 20mm bracelet size, and the fact that it tapers down slightly there. To me, yeah, it should have been a 22. However, it weighs quite nice. I'll give you a wrist shot on that at that point. So it's not big at all. Sits quite low on the wrist. Okay, let's just do a quick spec check. Right, so got the calipers out. Let's have a look at diameter. So gauge diameter, you're looking just under 44. Trying to do it. Okay, so call that 44. Let's do a log to log check. It's kind of awkward trying to watch the camera and do this. Just under 50. Thickness, now thickness, it does really look thicker, but you've also got this curved bezel. Let's check that. About 15 and a half. Okay, so let's remember 44, under 50 and 15 and a half. So again on this, on the Sumo, what do we get? This is just slightly over 44, 44.5. The log to log, let's get the edges, just over 50. Yeah, so 52. Okay, and thickness now, it's hard lex, not sapphire, so I need to be careful I don't scratch the damn watch. I'm looking at 14. So yeah, I mean you can see that visually that the watch is, hopefully I don't scratch it, the watch is slightly slimmer than the Proxima, but yeah, you can see it definitely is longer. So short and fat, long and slim. Between the two, I mean, just to quickly summarize, this is a mid-range Seiko. You're gonna pay quite a lot of money for this, and compared to what you pay on this, it's a no-brainer. Literally, roughly about a quarter off the price. And this will be brand new. You gotta understand that. Between the movements, there's not much difference. It's a difference of 10 hours. That's the only thing significant. But this comes under like a mid-range movement, whereas these are in the usual Seiko models. So this should give you guys an indication of what the quality is actually like and how good these watches are against very reputable OEM watches. Okay, I want to finish off with a Lume shot, which I know you're looking forward to. So I do have a bit of light in the room behind me, but you can still see the Lume. Again, the Lume is pretty much the same on the main dial, but you do have the added optional extra of, well, not optional, you have the added extra on the Proxima of the actual Lume on the bezel, which is a really nice touch. There is a website that I've recently discovered called LB Lumed Bezel, LCBI, yeah, Lumed whatever bezel insert, and what they specialize in is lumed bezel inserts, and they also provide lumed sapphire bezel inserts as well. And for you to bring the Sumo up to spec to the Proxima, so if you want to put in the lumed bezel insert, whether it's ceramic or sapphire, you want to add a sapphire crystal double dome, you're going to at least be looking at another, I would say, in the UK, about 60 to 70 pound. Not to mention, you know, if you'll have to get a modder to do it for you if you can't do it yourself, so that's added labor on that as well. Anyway, that's it from me on these two. I hope you enjoyed this video, and the content. I am trying to do different content now and then. So please subscribe, add a comment with your thoughts below, and remember to hit that like button. Thank you for watching.